Hey guys, would you sign in for me right there, please? Everybody sign in when you come in. Hello there.
Okay.
I've got a sign-in sheet back here. I need everybody to sign for me. if you would. Oh,
Back this year.
I've got a sign-in sheet we need to sign in.
Otherwise, I'm okay.
Well, that's a major area.
Yeah.
Hey, how are
Sure, I'll
you?
be there.
Good. Happy to be here. That's fine.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
Go ahead. Go ahead. I'm just walking.
Hi.
Morning, guys.
Good morning.
Morning.
Yeah. You used to have a front row at church? Or you a front row
No,
at
back
the
row.
OCC?
We're back row. We're back row. Yeah. John's front.
John's front row.
Where's that?
Sometime at the church. Sometimes those.
On the side.
They sat behind me.
Don't set in
First
Texas.
and back.
Don't set in Texas.
We watch them.
I've had regular seats in 3 or 4 different places.
Is that right?
I used to sit on the second row or third row there on the west side of the building. East side back
No,
there.
no, not today. You got
Yeah.
to this morning.
Different places where I'm sitting now in Texas.
Good fall
Then we have
tire.
that right there.
How are you?
I'm fine, how you guys?
Sorry,
You're
we
twins.
used to sit
Yeah.
a long time ago, before we went to Paola, for a little bit. And so before that, we sat on, in the main part,
Yeah.
and then when we came back, we were in Texas.
Years ago, I had people that would borrow a pew, and that became a
You sit
little
in the
problem
balcony, don't
because they just take
Sit
ownership
at the
of
balcony,
that.
down this church at the time.
Because their name was on the side of it. One day I just took them tags
They
off.
call
and
Texas.
mixed them up all over.
Chairs.
I thought nobody else would sit down.
I said the back of Texas.
See, that's where I always sit.
Man, I got a sign-in sheet, babe, if you sign that.
Me and Dennis Field sit back there and did the Morse code quite often.
Morse code.
Yeah, that's what's our big thing. We studied the Morse code.
I did that one time. Didn't want to-
I don't know why me and Dennis, we decided we wanted to learn. That's what we did in church.
Everything you run out, that's the way it is. John. Everything I know now, that's the way it is.
That's what it is, yeah. No.
Just have to smell it, SOS.
Yeah.
We got that one in.
Yeah, the way it should. So, why didn't go line on me, because it didn't have to do. You tell everybody on this girl online.
Okay. Virtual me.
We have to broadcast our meetings now on Stream Live.
Oh.
I had noticed you were doing that, and then somebody told me that it's like a law.
I think you're behind the podium, you're okay. You can see.
We'll be your friend.
There you go.
Is it really? Yeah.
I'm not usually above too many things anyway, it's my height.
Yeah, you talked to me about height? Part of the problem was the sun was right there. It made that.
Yeah.
Chris Crabtree was sorry he didn't get to see it.
Yeah, I talked to him a little bit after. It's not, you can see it on the back. I think it's supposed to look that blue.
Did you know that Atkins, Pearl Harbor, I didn't know. He was one of the last survivors.
No, I'm studying. I still live at the trailer.
Couldn't be many of those people left.
That's my old brother. Yeah. Yeah,
Well,
It ain't cold yet. That's how it works before it gets better.
yeah. Exactly, it's gonna be cold for me too.
You should know everything that's in there.
Yep, that old memory.
You should have already known
Like a
everything.
steel trap.
Anything that's in there, you should have been aware of
Like a
prior
steel,
to that.
like a steel trap.
You did? From your house? No, we can't accept fossils.
You got one. You had it for the woods, Attorney Wood.
Would you please sign in?
Yes, sir.
Okay, it's 9:00, I'll call our meeting to order. Please stand with the pledge and, Dawn, would you?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Dear Heavenly Father, we come this morning, we just pray that blessing on this group gathered here to discuss town business. We just pray that we all make right decisions and all we do. In Christ's name we pray. Amen.
Well, welcome everyone. Hope everyone is signed in back there. If not, please do before you leave. I'm going to change our agenda up just a little bit. There's a few things I'd like to get out of the way. Do we have anybody that has applied for our planning administrator?
No, sir, Mr. President, we have not. We have had somebody pick up an application.
Okay. So, is that okay if we didn't think of that? We need to set a date for our employee evaluations and the salary ordinance.
Usually you do that like early December, but we need to get that scheduled. It's an
Okay.
executive session.
Anybody available for any time or,
We just do it right after the first Wednesday meeting,
okay, December 3rd? All right,
whatever day it is.
December 3rd, so let's schedule that for that.
Everybody check your calendar.
I'm okay for December 3rd. Okay. And it's been requested that we change the start time of our November 20th meeting to 4:30 instead of 5.
I don't have a problem.
You okay with that, John?
I'll make a motion for as such.
Okay.
I second
All right, those in favor of changing our meeting date to 4:30 on the 20th, say aye.
it.
Anybody opposed? Okay, 4:30. Okay, Robert, is there any other thing that we needed, little thing like that?
Not that I'm aware of, Mr.
Okay.
President.
All right, then we'll move on. I know everyone's here, I would assume everyone's here about the egg washing plant. And we have Commonwealth Engineers here, and they were here to give us an update on a wastewater treatment plant because we're under an agreed order already. I think we should do that first. So you can kind of, I know that's part of the issue we're going to have with egg washing in our sewer. So would you want to, who wants to do that, Tiz?
I can do it. I can start.
Would you come up there?
Yeah, I was
please?
gonna say, let me come up there. We're
State your
sound
name
like I'm
first.
talking from the middle of the audience. So. Yeah, I'm Eric Parsley with Commonwealth Engineers. So we're the engineers for the town. We help them with different regulatory issues, wastewater and water issues. For a few years now, I guess it's been that we've been working with the town and with IDEM on some issues, primarily at the wastewater treatment plant. The town has an agreed order with IDM, which basically states that they've identified that there's some deficiencies at the plant that the town needs to address. And we've provided a compliance plan to IDM on how we're going to do that. It's kind of a mixture of operations and actual physical items that need to be updated at the plant. So we're now at the point with that plan where we feel like we've got all the operational side of things up to speed to where they need to be. And so now we're looking at what the physical actual capital projects need to be to bring the plant into more consistent compliance, I would say. The thing that we have identified is that there's a high, what we call it, organic loading going into the plant. It's actually higher than what the plant was designed to handle. So we know we have a project we have to do in order to address the organic loading that's coming into the plant. We were going to apply for funding for that this past fall, actually just a couple of weeks ago. Town ended up pulling that application because what we were applying for was a grant, had a pretty strong matching requirement, meaning the town had to put up quite a bit of money in order to get that grant and had to commit that earlier than what I think anybody was really comfortable with doing. So as the schedule stands now, we're really focusing on, there's 2 rounds for this funding a year. So we're really going to focus on the spring round to go back in for funding for the project that we've identified to address the organic loading. That's really primarily why we were here today, was to go through some of that scheduling and try to kind of back into some dates on when we need to have some commitments and talk with your financial advisor and whatnot about what our options are for coming up with that match money. Because it did kind of throw a wrench in the works and we have to commit that a little bit earlier than what we thought we were going to have to. So that being said, looking forward to this proposed egg washing facility. I can't remember how long ago it was that they approached the town about this, but they've been in contact with myself and with Brady Dreyer, who's here from our firm as well. He handles a lot of the regulatory issues that we have. And we requested that they provide some information with respect to what the strength and volume of the wastewater would be coming from that type of facility, because we obviously need to fold that into our plan that we have to do moving forward. Of the different constituents that we look at in wastewater, the flows really aren't a problem. What we look at, suspended solids, really aren't a problem. They do have a pretty high organic loading, which is what we've got a problem with anyway. So where we're at this point is really prior to making, I think, commitments next spring for this grant. We kind of need to know if they're really coming. And then from a technical perspective, I need to take their proposed organic loadings and see how that folds into the existing project that we have. Anticipated to require some changes to that plan. The town has been slowly kind of showing that their organic loadings to the plant are going down. Still not below the need to have to do something, but might afford some opportunity to fit in a little bit more organic loading with the proposed plan that we have in place right now. So those are kind of the 2 hurdles that we're looking at from a technical perspective. If it comes, what are the upgrades, changes we need to make to the proposed plan? And then secondarily, this time constraint we've got that ties back to the agreed order where we have to make commitments to IDM on actually performing the work that needs to be done at the plant, folding that in with the grant. I think that's all I can say.
Yeah, do we know anything about what this would do to us yet?
No, we have reached out to some of the vendors that we deal with as far as laying out the plans for what needs to happen at the plant. Quite honestly, we just got some updated numbers from them, I think 2 weeks ago, so I haven't really heard back yet to know for sure what that would do. Just to put it into perspective, I mean, I think when we were preparing the application, I mean, we were looking at about a $1.6 million project anyway. So it's really a matter of figuring out how much does it grow, if it grows, with their impact. So
They're gonna be responsible for some pre-treatments and so forth, so might be to help lessen that load.
I'll defer to Grady on this. So
So as Eric introduced me, I'm Brady Dreyer. I'm the compliance manager for Commonwealth. So we work with a lot of industries throughout the state, cities and towns with, wastewater industries like this. So I think their discharge concentrations were about 2,000 milligrams per liter. And that was the comparable facility in Washington, Indiana, where they took that sample. So it's, John, it's high, but it's not that high. It's one of those things. But like Eric says, it certainly would impact, the loading and plans for our wastewater plant. So I guess as far as whether or not they would have to pre-treat, I think that's still to be determined. I've been in some initial contact with their contractor that basically does the engineering and permitting and so forth for them, but I wanted to have this meeting before, and provide an update to make sure we're all on the same page before we talk much further with them. From the town's perspective, we do have an opportunity to charge them because this would be a higher strength waste, and that's called a surcharge. And that would be basically an organic loading surcharge that would, basically enable the town to recover the costs of treating this higher loading. So a long way to say that's kind of undetermined right now. I mean, they just pulled a couple isolated samples, so we would like to know a little bit more on a daily or weekly basis based on their production as to what that would really mean in the long haul. So to be determined at this time.
Do you work with them at Washington at all?
We do not, and it's my understanding that that's a different kind of facility, whereas they are not connected to a public sewer system for treatment. I know they have very large lagoons on that site. I don't know if, that it's land applied on, fields and what have you, but I understand it's comparable in terms of the type of facility and production it is, but as far as managing the waste is concerned, I think it's a little bit different.
So the output would be the same, but
Yes.
how they do it
Exactly.
different.
Exactly.
The likelihood of lagoons smell more than a little down the sewer.
generally, yes. I have worked not with one of their facilities, but I have worked with another egg washing plant in the past. Similar characteristics to what we're seeing that they're showing here. Organic load was an issue. pH was an issue. It doesn't seem to be as much now, but that's primarily linked back to the soap that's used for the washing.
Is that one there, does it run into a
It goes into the sewer system.
sewer system? Okay.
And actually, whenever they did some pre-treatment work, the plant didn't work as well because it wasn't getting as high an organic loading as what it was used to. Plants are kind of a living
You're talking about the
organism.
plant,
The sewer plant, the city sewer plant,
Okay.
yeah. So they actually had to make some adjustments whenever.
So it worked better with them.
Work better with them, well, yeah, exactly.
Okay. Well, I guess that's all we can ask of you.
Yeah,
right now,
sorry,
so.
that's about all we can add. I mean, we'll kind of turn up the heat on looking and seeing what the impacts would be. Kind of like Greg said, I kind of wanted to hear where things stood with.
Where's
town
the
and
plant
you guys
at
have.
that you were just talking about?
It was in Du Bois.
Okay, one of Du Bois. And it runs into the Du Bois
Yeah.
sewer system. And
My work with that was 20 years ago.
Yeah.
So.
Is it still in business for you know?
As far as I know. Yes.
Is it in a residential area?
Just outside of the residential area.
In the sticks. And it smells?
I don't know.
Okay.
Like I said, I have.
And the one at Washington, though, goes into.
Olympics.
I think Wabash also has cracking of
Yeah, I think that facility does more than washing. The one in Du Bois does more than just washing. At that facility.
Oh, it sort of processes.
Yeah, I believe so. Yeah. Give it the time that I was there.
You mentioned that Riverview has a facility in Washington. I believe it's not in town, though, it's outside of town, is that correct? It's not in a residential area.
I don't know.
I looked it up on the map, and it's not in the town of Washington. It appears to be outside, but I don't know.
Yeah,
Unlike what they're proposing to do now.
I don't, not familiar with their facility in Washington.
We just know we got samples from
I
it.
understand.
Yeah.
I understand.
Okay,
I think just to wrap up on the IDEM perspective, if I may,
sure.
as you know, we have quarterly updates that we submit to IDEM, and the enforcement group, and with everything going on, we have postponed this most recent quarterly update. So I think it's great that thanks for having us today to help sort some of these things out. But I think where we go from here for that perspective is that I'll go back to the office. As Eric said, we're looking at the next round of Okra funding. I think it's that it's fair to notify IDEM that we also have a potential new industrial user that we're evaluating that's going to impact things. And I think we'll throw that out as well as kind of cause for some of our delay to make sure that we can keep them happy and keep things moving from the enforcement perspective.
Okay.
So,
Yeah, 'cause obviously we have to do something,
yes.
Yeah.
no matter what.
And just to kind of bookend the timing, Randy, you know this from Region 15 experience. Haven't announced the deadlines for the grant funds next year, but typically it's around the middle of April that the first
So we've
proposal.
got some time.
Yeah, and then again, that is when we have to commit local match. So we need to do some upfront legwork to get that. So.
What is causing our organic loading now?
Well, that's a great question. That's a great question. We've spent about the last year looking to see if we could find a smoking gun, if you will. But we really have the city or towns done testing throughout different areas within the sewer system to see if we can pinpoint. We had a couple places we wanted to focus on that we thought we may be getting some high organic loading, and we're not. So we think it's basically just kind of the characteristics of the wastewater that's here. By comparison, you know, we may design for somewhere in the neighborhood of, I think the design for this plant was somewhere in the neighborhood of 100, 200 milligrams or 200 pounds per day of organic loading. We're getting about 300. So that's kind of the perspective of where we're at.
Is it because our plant is too small for our town?
It's not, it wasn't designed for that high of an organic loading. It is higher than what I guess book factors would give you on typical organic loading for primarily just domestic wastewater. But from a flow perspective, which is what most people look at, plant does well unless it rains. When we get rain, we get high peak flows that we have to deal with, which is another issue. But just looking at your average flows from a flow perspective, the plant handles that very well.
So dirt's already being moved for this egg washing plant. It's in process, and as the sewer system is now, it cannot handle it, correct? And apparently it's gonna be at least April or beyond that.
Yeah.
And we understood production was supposed to begin in the fall. That was their deadline.
Okay. I had heard, I think they had communicated with us that next year was when they were planning to get started.
So if we don't even start the grant process until spring,
Mhm.
and then it would be awarded as of when, Randy?
Probably in the fall,
So you're
early
looking,
fall.
Yeah, we're looking a year from now before construction would start.
so there would be no way that our sewer system would be up to date.
Our organic loads would suffer as a result.
By their time.
So it would not be adequate. And construction and up to date, how long would that take?
Probably, well, if we, let me do some quick math here. So if they award in next summer, let's say, we would start construction as early as this time next year. And then for the delays, it's usually 9 months to 12 months for the project to complete.
That's if everything goes smoothly.
Yeah.
And the town bears this burden of the added cost of this construction with a grant.
As
Yeah.
if we get the
Like I
grant.
said, we have to do, yeah, we have to do something regardless of whether they come. It's just how much more do we have to do.
And it's the fact that now we're gonna have to upgrade even more because it's gonna require more. That's how I take it. Right.
Mhm.
So we've allowed a factory to come in now that we can't adequately say that they can come in. We can't, our sewer system doesn't, we can't allow somebody to come in whenever we can't even, they can't use our sewer system.
Yeah.
I don't know that you guys have, I mean, I know we haven't issued any
Yeah, I think that's
approvals or
that's
anything
something.
for it.
If, I don't know that we need any more from you right now.
Okay,
I mean,
I will stand there.
you're more than welcome. You're more than welcome to anything you want.
Thank you. Yeah, appreciate it.
No problem.
Did you have anything
No,
you
sir.
want to add? He's with Commonwealth too.
No, thank you.
Okay.
He's got-
So probably the next thing to do, are there several spokespersons?
There's all of us.
Well, but I
Belinda's
mean,
our main
we
one,
would
I
like
think.
to
We all
address
have dogs.
you know, we kind of have to do this one at a time. So, you know, if someone would like to come up to the podium and ask questions to our attorney, well, just, we'd be glad to do that.
I can get us started.
Okay, thank you.
Not that I have a lot, and I know
Yeah.
the rest of you will be able to chime in. I'm Belinda Bradley. I'm guessing I'm supposed
Thank
to
you.
say my name. You know, as you can imagine, something coming in like this across the road from us is devastating as a resident. You know, we've lived there 25 years, and I love this town. It was, I feel like we kind of heard about it through the grapevine, and so we did call Brian and contacted Suzanne just to, you know, find out exactly what was going on, and Brian was forthcoming with information. We probably, I think most of us would have preferred to have a little more of a heads up. And I feel like the more that I've talked around, that maybe things have been in the planning for a long time, but you know, the residents nearby really didn't get any information. And that's under the bridge, but John was kind enough to send the letter that Brian sent to the town council about what their plan is. And I know it mentions in the letter that they have their egg grading plant in Washington. We're not sure why. Maybe they don't just expand there. And apparently that one is the one that has, it's not hooked to the city water, right? At Washington, I think they mentioned
That's what I
that.
understood, yes.
And in knowing that, because I didn't know that before, I feel like maybe, you know, all the thousands of acres that they own, not close to our town, could be a different possibility if they already have a plant that's dealing with their own wastewater. I think, again, one of our big concerns is hooking onto the town water and what that's going to do. And especially now, I mean, we know that we're having issues with that. So that obviously is something that I know I do trust our town council to make the right decisions for everybody. And I do hope, I know we're just a few people out that way, but that egg processing plant is a half mile from our elementary school. And there are more residents there than out there than you think about, you know. So I know that you'll hopefully keep all of that in mind. In the letter that Brian wrote, it does say the facility will not produce odors or store material that produces odor. I know we would like to know how we're going to make sure that doesn't happen, you know, that we do have the odor. It's just an egg washing plant. And from my research, I know that the egg drying plants are the ones that produce a lot of odor. That is a concern because who's to say that down the road, you know, they have an egg washing plant. Now we've got a little bit more land here. Let's put the egg drying process there. And it just in researching towns that have that and they have residents close, I think it's a scary option. And so not very many good things with that. I'm not sure. I mean, honestly, I wouldn't mind. I think it would be good if we visited these other plants to see, you know, who lives nearby, how it's affected them. I'm just really concerned. You know, it's just coming into our town, and I know they do a lot for our community. I mean, it's nothing personal against them other than the fact that I feel like they could have had the courtesy to talk to us ahead of time. But, you know, what are we going to do about if it does produce odor? And, you know, it will apparently if we have trouble with it getting into the sewer system. And you know, that's way above my pay grade. I don't know anything about that, but I am concerned about it. I'm also concerned, as a lot of people are, with the increased truck traffic. You know, it's a lot of people use 337 getting into school, getting into work. I do realize that that's one of the places that's easier for Johnson's to put their plant in because they have easy access to get on the highway, although that's a skinny little part of the highway. And I'm guessing they'll probably make it like they did the feed mill, but it is a concern with the traffic that goes in and out of there and the extra truck noise. I mean, I know that's part of, you know, if you're a neighbor to a plant like that, you're going to have that. You know, they're going to also have, we didn't mention this earlier, but they are, you know, doing a truck washing plant too, or truck washing area, which will also be another thing, I think, with the town sewer that everybody's going to need to address. So I did see, it's been kind of confusing. We asked about zoning and what it was actually zoned. There is a zoning map that shows that it's an I3. In the zoning chart that we have for Orleans, we don't have an I3 listed in this chart that's in the book. And so I looked it up, and I'm guessing that these rules apply. I get they can do all kinds of things there. But it does say that there are buffer requirements for an I3 zone, and that it says it's intended to be buffered from surrounding communities to mitigate potential impacts of heavy industrial activities. So I think that's something. Now, in Brian's letter to the town council, though, he says that it was an I1 zoned industry, but on the zoning map, that map over there, I think, it has that it's an I3. And so it's just been confusing because I know my husband's been in to talk with Robert a couple times and just to kind of gather information and see what was going on. But it would be nice for us to maybe clear up some of those things today so we know exactly what's going on, what's going to be allowed, how is the town council going to be able to protect our town from having the issues with the sewer and with the traffic. And I know we're a small town. I mean, it's nice to have a new industry. I'm just not comfortable, I guess, with the industry being where it's going to be. So, I don't know. Thanks for listening. I know other people have some things to say too, and but we do appreciate that you know, all the things you guys do, and you have to listen to all the things that go on. But I do trust that you're gonna do, kind of help protect everybody and not just the money. I mean, I think that's real important.
Clarify, you said I thought you said that you were having trouble with water. Do you have water troubles out there?
No, we're actually on Patoka water on our side,
Okay,
so,
well, you was probably talking about the sewer plant.
I was,
Yeah,
yes.
okay, that's
yes.
fine.
And
I
I'm
just- 'cause
concerned about that.
Because there is some issues about the Patoka water and where that water, where their plant will get their water from. So we have talked about that.
Okay, yeah,
So, but I just want to clarify, make sure that you wasn't already having some kind of.
yeah, we're not. I do know that, I mean, I don't know how much of that wastewater, how that will go into the ground and affect nearby wells or like our pond, you know. I really don't know that part, but
I would think if it goes into the sewer, that wouldn't be any
yeah,
groundwater versus if it was a lagoon, and obviously they can't have a lagoon out there, so.
but they have lots of
I
other
said that. I
places they
don't-
could.
I'm kind of like you, I don't, it's way above my pay grade too. So, and,
But those are things we have to, I think
Absolutely.
you guys as a town council really have
And,
to check into.
And I don't disagree about the I-3, because I don't have an answer for that either, so.
Yeah, and it may be, I mean, I think it needs to be put in our zoning rules.
Right.
And there has to be some rules. I mean, the state has some rules about it, but I
Yeah.
didn't see it in.
In our case, the state of Indiana does all of the, correct me if I'm wrong, they take care of all of the building permits, the oversight of everything. Anything in Orleans, the only thing that we look after is housing. Is that correct? And so the state will be the ones that overlook any project that is not housing. I'm not speaking out there, am I?
Well, we do have some input as far as permitted uses.
Right, permitted
Other
uses,
settings on
yes, right.
the right, road classification and setbacks.
Because that was annexed into the town, correct?
I believe it was 2004, I think that was
Right,
correct.
right.
That's something that everybody ought to know. In 2004, that was all set up as an industrial park, and agreements were made between RNC and Patoka and the town of Orleans and Johnson's to designate that as a shovel-ready site. And at that time, Orleans pledged to furnish water and sewer to it. But there is water there. Whoever serves it, it's Patoka's on one side of the road, and we're right down the road on the corner, and it goes up to Susie and Jim's house. So it's, we're kind of bound somewhat by their decision than 21 years ago too, so. But John Paul probably knows more about that than I do.
Have they already got approval
I'm sorry.
have they already gotten the approval from you to do this?
Well,
They don't need our approval. It's zoned. They own it. It's zoned I. They don't need our approval to build a facility there.
What about the sewer?
They haven't applied to hook onto our sewer. We've been discussing with them providing water and sewer, and that's why we've had Commonwealth, and that's why we've asked them to provide samples so we can prepare to handle their discharge if they do hook onto our sewer.
So there's a possibility they could put, if they don't decide to hook onto the sewers, there's a possibility they'll put lagoons.
I don't know what their plan is.
I mean, but
I don't know what their plan is.
Right.
The only information we've got is I've talked to Brian, and it sounds like you guys have too, and we got this, and then we've provided you guys the same letter that we've got. But I mean, it'd be no different, you know, if your property's zoned residential and you decide to add on to your house. Yes, you have to come in here and get a building permit, but we can't stop you. So,
Can
I
you
mean-
regulate it at all with trees being planted so we don't have to look at it?
the only thing we have in our zoning, we have some setback requirements and that kind of thing, but no, we don't have anything as far as like curb appeal or anything like that. But, you know, again, every indication we have, we can only go off the information we've been provided. And they've indicated to us there will not be an odor.
Do we never dig down deep and look into it? We don't ever explore other options?
Visit other
places?
plants, ask neighbors of other plants.
That's not our job.
diligence
Due
as-
diligence. Councilman.
I didn't know there was one in Du Bois that was on a sewer system. I'm more than happy to drive down there and look at theirs.
I'd love to go to Rose Acres at Cortland. They're the biggest, second biggest in the country.
Do you feel that this will impact our water since we're on town?
If they hook on to
Town
the
water.
town.
Well, that's the reason I asked
Yeah.
about the water. Do you have problems with your water pressure now?
Well, it's
It's-
not the greatest.
It's not
but
great.
We live with it.
You're on the town water.
Yes.
We've started that process also. I talked to Brian. We have a water consultant we work with that's familiar with Patoka's system and our system. And I already asked, you know, as far as total usage a day, gallons per minute, pressure, and he's going to send me those responses in writing. But my initial conversation with him is they're going to use some type of tank system that builds up water so it doesn't draw off the town. You know, there's not going to be a heavy usage during the day.
Kind of like a water tower type.
Well,
They'll
yeah,
store
but
it.
I think it's going to be more like an internal system.
Right, but they'll store it.
Yes,
It's a storage system.
yeah.
Would this
And
be for the car wash or the semi wash too?
I asked him specifically because our consultant said, you know, the same thing you said. If you start drawing a bunch of water all at one time, it could even affect Patoka. So I asked him about that, and he gave us numbers that seemed like they were probably achievable as far as gallons per minute in total usage and what pressure they're going to need.
And if their figures are incorrect, is there anything that we can do if they move in and we have problems?
I mean, we could upgrade the system if we need to. We could upgrade this, and we could work with Patoka too. I mean, but again, we can only go off what information they're providing us.
Right.
I have a question.
Sure.
Do you know if they have plans to do egg drying there too? Or cracking?
Not that we know of,
What is
but
egg drying? I thought it was egg cracking.
Well, cracking, drying, they dry it out, so it goes into like dog food and things like
yeah,
that.
where they process it further. Yeah.
Those are the plants that I've read that have really the bad odor. So I don't know, okay, we do this, and because I feel like people have known about this egg washing for a long time now, apparently.
I heard about it. It was, I think it was late spring the first I heard of it.
Okay.
It's still earlier than a month ago when we all heard about it.
Yeah.
And like you all heard about it when I showed up at your house Monday night.
Yeah.
So there's been
And
a
we're
lot
right
of
next
balls
door.
dropped and a lot of miscommunication. And we just feel really disrespected. I mean, I personally do as living across the road from it. You all got the letter on the 28th and a week later they're breaking ground. So that's, and you know, we were told maybe at the end of the year you need to be worried about it. No, we should have been worried about it back in the spring when you all knew about it. So,
Actually, 2004.
right.
Yeah, 2004,
Right.
yeah.
I didn't know anything was going on.
You weren't notified of the annexation.
Express some concerns.
I'm sorry.
Do I have a couple of minutes?
Yes, you sure can. Yeah, come on in.
Now, gentlemen, I'm Steve Reed. For the few of you that don't know me, I think almost everybody here does. Had the pleasure of going to school with high school, graduated, these two gentlemen. Well, like our neighbors are just saying, I just learned about this project Monday. Now, I knew something was going on because I already received planted flags in my yard where my lines were, and also down the road. I tried a couple of times. I called them a couple of times, and they denied any knowledge that they had no knowledge of what was going on. In spite of the fact that it was their crews that did it, I called the town hall, asked someone, and at that point they didn't have any information on it. Now, the environmental things have been kind of addressed already.
I'm gonna address the quality of life. I've lived out there for over 40 years and predates the feed mill that's out there. And I can tell you there's an impact to the quality of your life when that mill went in. It was not so terribly noisy. In the quiet of the night, there's 24/7 noise. But the big thing is lights and traffic. Before the feed mill, there was relatively few semi trucks that went out there. And now there's almost as many semis going there as cars. Now you add this new plant to it, it's gonna be even more. All of them going past our elementary school. And I know our teachers here have concerns about the increased truck traffic, semi traffic. It disturbs me also that construction has already begun. We never had the chance to put any input into it. But we were concerned about it. Did we have objections to it? No. As we speak, the ground is being transformed right now. So it seems like they don't care about our input. But I do believe that you gentlemen have some influence upon. You almost have to. You have zoning. I'm not sure, it's never been anything other than a farm. I can't imagine what we zoned anything other than a farm. But what we're doing now is not farming. It's an industry, let's just face it. But the quality of life is what you're gonna face. It's not only gonna affect your beauty of your property, because this is gonna be ugly. That feed mill is ugly. And it's lighted up. I had to put up blackout curtains in my bedroom window so I could sleep at night. And it's just, it's gonna impact these people's property values. Nobody wants to live next to an industrial plant, no matter how big it is. This is relatively small as industries go, but nobody wants to live there. It's gonna affect their property values. It's gonna affect their property of life. Mine as well, because I live within a matter of yards of what they're constructing. Amanda lives directly across the road from it, probably less than a football field length from it. The Bradleys moved just a little bit forward, maybe 2 football fields away. But it's still very, very close to our homes. And our homes have been there for way before they decided to put this in. And if they had been good community members, they would have sought out our opinions and our concerns before they started construction. It just doesn't seem right to me that they started construction without anybody. Do you care? Does anybody care? Is this going to impact your life? I would venture to say, not one of the Johnson family, and they're highly respected and apparently religious people. Not a one of them would want this across the street from their houses. And some of them have some very nice houses, you know, out in the Riverview area. So that's my concern. The quality of our lives of these people, our property values, truck traffic by our elementary school. If you have any influence at all, I ask on behalf of the rest of us here that you do what you can to put a stop to this construction. Thank you, gentlemen.
Anybody else like to say?
I'll just say a few words.
Sure.
Okay, I'm Sheila Salkeld, and we own the property. My parents lived where Amanda now lives, across from this proposed plant. And we own the farmland behind them as well. And I guess my concern is the valuation of my property that we own. And not so much the farmland unless there's continued growth, but where Amanda lives, she had rats underneath her air conditioner from the feed mill. It's just, I guess, something that happens, but the quality of life, I would reiterate that, you can't, the front porch view now is gone and or will be gone. And I don't really know that what you can do to stop it. I don't know that it can be stopped, but maybe just future consideration if they want to expand this, where it might be older. People all around have had issues with the manure plant, the burning plant, the spreading of this on the fields. you know, our whole town has been impacted over, and it's progress. I understand that. I really do. I mean, we're farmers too. We fertilize the land, and I'm sure there's runoff from our farms, but it is a community thing. I mean, the whole community is impacted by some of these progress. And I know the town's going to probably make money on or benefit from selling water, from selling sewer system services, and REMC will benefit from added electrical use, but it's at the cost of some other people's personal pleasures and benefit of living. Really, that's about it.
Thanks, Sheila. Well, from a personal standpoint, I understand how you feel, and I don't blame anybody in this room for feeling that way. I don't know that there's much we can do. I know they've not hooked up to our sewer system, and that is going to be hopefully an issue that we have control over. I don't know that we even have control over that. There's some questions. So, but anyway, they have started digging, but I don't know that they had to even tell us they were digging. I mean, this is really, the whole process is going to be up to the state of Indiana when it comes to their permits and all of those things. We have been informed that they are correctly zoned. Is that correct?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, there's not, like I said, it's zoned industrial. I understand that's not, and nothing was built there for years, but when it was annexed into the town, it was a project between Hoosier Energy, Orange County REMC, Orleans, so that was going to be a shovel-ready site. That they promoted that. Orange County Economic Development would advertise that to companies that if they wanted to come to Orleans, we had a shovel-ready site that had utilities, that had the ability for them to put something there. So I understand, but I mean, you saying you didn't know anything about the annexation in 2004, it was published in the paper when that was annexed. And I know that's something that people just skip over and, because they just continue to plant crops there, you didn't think about it. But I mean, it is a shovel-ready site. It is zoned industrial, and we don't have a lot of options. I mean, north of town, east, and then, Noble's site there, south of town. I mean, it's unfortunate, but that there's always going to be a place where residential butts up to industrial, or industrial or residential butts up to business. And I know it can cause problems, but again, it's our land use. It's what decisions were made before this board. So we can't just tell Johnson's, well, we don't like what you're building there, even though it's a permitted use under our zone. There's a lot of businesses that a lot of towns and cities have had to struggle with that, you necessarily don't want. It's not desirable, but you can't stop it.
So are you saying that, not that this will happen or anything, but are you saying that, okay, they get this one here, they right beside it, they can build another one, and we have nothing to do with it? There's no way to stop that?
As long as whatever they built was a permitted use. But in industrial, there's not a lot that's not permitted.
But what about the odor, like the 12.05211, all these? Are we taking these into consideration also?
Well, and again, I mean, we can only deal with that once we have a problem. I mean,
So these are all
they've told
violations?
us, again, we've asked this question and they've told us there's going to be no odor. So
we just have to take their word for it. We don't look into it.
well, I understand what you're saying. If there's comparable facilities, especially, I think the biggest thing is if there's a comparable facility that's hooked onto sewer, yes, that would be something that we could go look at,
Okay.
that kind of thing. But their one in Washington, I know, is Lagoon. So that would be a different scenario as far as odor. But
one in Du Bois would be like what we're looking at, it sounds like to me. That's the first I've heard of it.
I mean, that's the first I've heard of it.
Yeah,
So
I'll jump in. I'm not sure what all they do at that plant.
Oh,
So
okay.
I know they
So
do,
it may not
I know they
be-
do washing. They may do more at that plant than just the
But it still would, we could still,
Sure.
it'd be something to look at to compare.
Yeah.
For sure.
But I asked Brian Johnson specifically about odor, and this letter came after I prompted him. I said, it'd be nice if you could give us a letter about what you're doing and kind of a site plan. And so I've asked him specifically about odor, and he said there will not be an odor.
But
Right,
when
but I
you
mean-
Google egg washing facility odor, it says significant odor complaints from nearby residents.
Right, and that's like I said, we need to look into that one at Du Bois, find out exactly what they do. Because I agree. I mean, when you look it up, there's a lot of information about egg washing versus egg cracking versus, like you said, more like the drying and processing. So again, we can only go on what they've told us. They obviously know that's a concern of not only you know, neighbors, but us. So, I mean, I can't imagine that they would actively deceive us about that. So again, but we can do our due diligence, like you said, and look into it.
Is that parcel of Johnson's the only that is industrial?
So
I mean,
it's,
Steve
yeah,
is-
well, I
Steve
mean,
is east of it, he
we're-
would be,
we're
we're
pro-
west.
Yeah, where Hall's Trucking is also, so this is the industrial. This is where Johnson's is right here. Of course, this is the airport, REMC, and then Hall Brothers is in here. So all this is industrial.
So why is it I-3?
I don't know why that designation got on there. I mean, these maps were updated. So these maps were updated in 2010 by Commonwealth. I don't know why it got on there as I-3. I'm not sure.
Because our books don't show an I-3, it shows an I-2, I-1 and I-2.
Yeah, there's no such thing as I-3.
Paul, doesn't the IDM have air quality rules?
Yeah, again, the state will have a lot to do with this also. Just like, I mean, somebody was talking about the manure facility and the burning. I mean, IDM was involved in that too. So again, that's not under our control.
With the sinkholes, karst system, we have a lot of it out there. We have a lot of flooding. You get a heavy rain, there's water that stands on that property. We have a sinkhole in our back area and it gets, I'm guessing 5 feet deep at times. When we get extreme, it actually comes out of the ground, floods our back area. And I know who's going to be over how they contain what they have inside, that it don't, if something floods and it comes out, is there safety things I mean, who's over that? Is it IDEM?
I would assume that it's the state of Indiana.
Okay, which would be IDEM or
Right,
whoever.
yes.
Okay, because I've done a little research on the USDA site, and estrogen from egg washing, not cracking or anything, it goes extremely high, and it can affect things. And I'm concerned about it just getting in and coming back up and affecting my property, which isn't that far from there.
Well, I would.
Through the
I would
underground
guess-
water system, you know.
I don't know, but I would guess that if they have lagoons, that's where the problems would come from.
Well, I mean, the school, I had an electrical room down there, the system failed and it flooded down below and actually come inside the school. And we had a system in, but it didn't keep it out of the
So
school.
that was from the sewer system that.
No, it was from a dry well that we
Oh,
had.
okay.
But we have a system that failed to handle the water to get it away, and it came into the building. So I'm saying, are they going to have things that contain it in the building, so no matter what happens outside, there's no way that water that they use, I know it's supposed to go, but I've read one thing, they use like 70,000 gallons an hour to run this system. I don't know if it's a sealed system, I don't know that, but it was, there's a lot of things that could get involved there. But I'm concerned because we do have flash flooding,
All those inside things you're talking about, though, have to be addressed in the design of the thing and approved by the state.
Right.
The Homeland Security people, like the school.
Right.
you've involved
But I mean,
with.
there will be people that overlook that. I guess that's where I'm going with it.
Well, they got inspectors.
Okay.
And whoever the engineers are, they
Okay.
designed it to prevent that kind of stuff.
I just concerned about it getting out of the
Fail-safe.
land.
That would be the experts from the state. I would, if you could trust them.
Well, I'm not gonna go, you gonna start there, Don? We won't go there.
Yeah.
I just concerned about it getting and coming back up other places around.
Yeah.
That's all.
Well, that's well and good, but that's an after the fact, after it's done. The damage is done to our property areas and appreciate that. And in respect to Mr. Johnson's letter, he's offering an opinion, a biased opinion. Has an environmental impact study been done? Has anybody asked for that? Like the EPA or somebody? That might be a piece of leverage you could use because an instruction like this would fall under their area, the EPA. And for something like this, it sounds like an environmental impact study needs to be done before they start construction. Because after that, then the damage is done to our homes, and we've got this ugly facility across the road from us, and it's noisy and it's bright and it maybe or may not smell. So if you gentlemen have an interest in our opinions and our feelings, and perhaps that's something you could look into. Can an environmental study, impact study be done? I don't know who would request that or who would do that, but that's kind of out my set.
Yeah, if it's required, if it's required, I mean, they have to do that. If it's a rule or law to do an impact study or environmental impact study on a proposed project, they probably have done it. We're not responsible for doing it, but.
I wouldn't trust that.
Well,
I mean, I appreciate they're good, respectable people, but they're also business people, and they've already started construction.
yeah, but the state's got people that enforce those rules and so forth.
Maybe somebody needs to ask for it, ask for a study. And if they have one, let's see it, let's see what it says. It would the odor problem be addressed as air quality. The groundwater be addressed as drainage. I have a well that I get my water from, and just 100 yards from where they're building, they're gonna put a eggplant processing plant. The light and sound, the traffic, all these things need to be addressed. And I appreciate the Johnson family, they're good people, as far as I can tell. I didn't appreciate they put the feed plant out there without asking anybody, but that's out of town. But please, look into this for us, because you guys have the power. We're just private citizens.
I don't know how much power we have, but we can ask them if they've done these things.
Yeah.
And I would assume that if we ask them and they say we don't have to, I don't know where we go from there, by the way. But we can say, well, did you do that? And if they say yes, we can ask to see it. I guess we can. I don't know. I'm just talking common.
If they're provided we don't have to, then our lawyer would have to get involved.
Yes. But
And again, they have to get a building permit because they are in town. But because it's a commercial facility, we turned that all over to the state. We can't maintain someone to inspect commercial. So we do residential, but we have told the state that, just like the addition to the elementary school and all that, that's handled by the state. So the state will be issuing them permits and verifying their plans and all that. So, you might want to talk to someone at the state level, because we've turned over that inspection and that stuff to the state because we just simply can't do it here. We're a small town.
So John Paul, really the only thing you're saying that we have to stand on is the sewer system.
Well, I'm not even sure on the sewer system, because we can, and I appreciate Commonwealth, but I mean, we'll make arrangements to handle what they discharge if it's feasible for us to do so.
But not in the time allotted, right?
But the alternative would be then they're going to put in lagoons.
I don't think we want that.
Thank you. My thing of it is if you're worried about odor, it's going to be a sealed facility, and they're discharging into the sewer. There shouldn't be any smell coming from it.
Have they received a building permit from you?
I think they applied for it and not received any local permit.
But they've applied for it.
Yeah.
And what determines whether they get it?
It has to be
Setbacks and
setback.
permitted use is really the only two things that we have any power over.
Is setbacks?
Yeah, setbacks, ever outward from the street and property lines and so forth.
And how far back does it have to be?
I don't recall, so there's a 200 feet someplace, I don't know where that's side or front or back or what, but I didn't remember that particular number.
With the airport there, would they be restricted on the in-toward halls? On what?
They'd be restricted on height, but
That, okay.
Jim Harmon explained to me one time, elevations, structures close to the airport, they're real low. That elevation has to be real low, close, but as you get farther away, it goes like this. We were concerned about it up on the hill when I lived up there, and I'm not sure how fast it goes up or anything like that, but there are places, restrictions on the height.
So-
I don't know if that's.
Who would determine if they could put lagoons out there if they don't do the?
I have no
Would that be
idea.
the state?
I would assume
The
that.
state would decide that.
I don't.
I'd say lagoons would probably be a lot more trouble to build here than they would be in Washington because of our karst system.
Yeah.
And Washington is, I don't know, the geology in Washington down in Davis County, but further down in there, sandy and everything like that.
I just wondered if they had like enough acreage, and you probably wouldn't know that. That'd be the state that would
I would
determine.
think, yeah, I would think it would be something similar to a septic system. You know, you have to have so many, whatever, feet, acres, or whatever. I don't know.
Yeah, I wouldn't know.
With runoff, I know concrete and more buildings, you'd have more runoff water. Can the sewers handle that? I think Jim said that water goes behind the Stetson house and there's a sinkhole that goes in, perhaps. A lot of that comes down the road.
It's right there at the end of Gretchen. Everything, it runs deep.
You're talking about stormwater?
Yeah, off the north side of from Reed's property. It all goes in, what I noticed. It runs deep down through there and then goes in. And I'm wondering if that even would fall into a wetland category because it floods all the time in there with runoff.
Yeah.
I just wonder that what would add to that problem.
I would guess that would be part of the building permits. I don't know.
The runoff.
Yeah, that would be part of the state when they, they'll be the ones that give them the access to 337. They will determine what that is and, where it is and how it is and.
The runoff, the amount of water is not going to change. It's how fast it gets away from there, I guess, where the runoff would affect.
Well, if you have land, it's gonna seep more to the land. If you
Right.
have concrete and
It's,
buildings, it's gonna run off of
It's
that.
supposed to be 53 acres, but I don't know exactly. I've seen the figure 41 acres too, but anyhow, this is 65,000, which would be about an acre and a quarter or something. So I don't know what the effect would be, but being all the way up in that corner, you have all that land to handle it, but for the amount of rainfall on that piece of ground, it's not going to change, no matter what's there. It just gets away faster.
Can I say something real quick? I moved 50 years ago into the middle of Johnsonville. Okay? For lack of a better term, I saw our quality of life degrade. Beulah and Jackie used to walk 3 times a day down to the bridge from my house. They couldn't do that for the longest time because of the traffic. One time, I think even the semi pushed Beulah in the ditch. When we told Brian, he made sure that that didn't happen again. But it still affected our quality of life. Okay, we raised 3 kids. This is a wonderful place. Steve, I had to get Patoka Lake because I don't know whether it was Gherkins runoff of their field. And in around my area, or whether it was Johnson's or whomever, I had to get Toker because of that. Okay, because that destroyed my well.
I'm really concerned about the
But you have an option.
groundwater. And when it does flood, it stands in various areas in this field.
Yeah, I know all about that. You know, I lived in the middle of stink for 40 years. I lived in the middle of flies for 40 years. You know, we come home from work and we have to sweep up a dustpan full of flies. Okay, when IDEN came out and did test it, Johnson's always passed. And they're good neighbors. It's, you know, I'm not condemning them or saying anything else. Jameson moved out by Bethel Church because he wanted to get away from all the traffic on the east side. Guess what? He has all hotel traffic going right down in front of his house 3 times a day when the shift changes. Change is going to happen. We can embrace it, we can fight it, or we can move. But it's going to happen. You know? I tease everybody who comes to visit me. I said, you want to come out and see Johnson Space Center? Because that's what it looks like from my house. It just looks like a space center. Steve, I understand it. But again, change is going to happen. We don't have to like it. We don't have to embrace it. But it's going to happen.
I'm sure we're accepting there's nothing can be done. We don't know if the state oversees it, but the state is kind of a nebulous, what is the state? Who specifically, what departments is it? Where do we start at?
Department of Homeland Security is all that takes place as far as design and whether it meets the engineer and the architect's specs and all that is the Department of Homeland Security. The smell and stuff like that, I'm sure would be ideal.
It has to be ideal, you know.
As a council, are you considering denying their building permit?
I don't think we could. I mean, I don't.
I don't think we have reason enough.
As long as it's zoned correctly and they follow whatever setbacks or height restrictions that would be for it, as long as they do those things, I mean, we couldn't legally deny it. I mean, I guess we could and they could take us to court, you know, but I mean, if they do what they're supposed to do according to ours, correct me if I'm wrong, but I mean, we can't deny it. But I tell you what we can do, we can go to Du Bois and see what they have there. And when they come in and ask for the building, we can ask them if the EPA is involved, if they have to do anything with the EPA. I mean, we can ask these questions. I don't know that we can get the answers. I mean, you know, but we can do these things because I understand everyone's concerns. I really do.
John, there's one other thing. Somebody had that, was it Amanda or anyone had the paper that had the rules on and so forth. They got to violate it first, don't they, before you can enforce it.
Right, that's what I'm saying. I mean, I know what you're talking about, odor, and we do have an ordinance, but again, we couldn't file anything on a presumption that it's gonna smell. You know, it's one of those things it'd have to be a violation before we can file something. So.
And then you run into the time when you report it to when they come inspect it.
Oh, we have that all the time with, laying manure on the ground surface, and there is a requirement how soon you have to plow that in, and it doesn't meet that always, but what do you do?
By the time you report it and it gets inspected.
Exactly, it's such a timely thing.
And I know that you said that they had already started something out there. Are they just moving ground now or are they actually building? Just moving ground.
Yeah. They got a pan, track hose, digging,
leveled out.
digging up in the back corner there. I don't know. It almost
For
looks
that,
like they're making a lagoon.
they wouldn't need any
I don't-
permit to grade their land, you know. So.
But they surely have got an assurance of a permit either already approved or going to be approved.
You're talking from the state of Indiana, yeah.
And machines working out there is not working for nothing.
Yeah.
But personally, I'd appreciate if you could go to Du Bois and compare get the facts of their plant, whether it's a cracked egg thing or, what all they do. They may do more than what they're saying they're gonna do out here, but so you can have an honest comparison.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then evaluate it and maybe even be able to tell us who we could go, you'd know more.
Jim, you gotta remember one thing though, that one of Du Bois has been there for 30 years or so. And it probably was not subject to the same building for regulations and permits and so forth.
And things are grandfathered in.
Yeah, they may have more regulations today than they did 30 years ago.
Yes.
Yeah.
They do have pre-treatment there as far as what goes in the sewer. And they also pay a surcharge on top of that. And then they also contributed a large amount of money, I don't remember how much, to upgrading the sewer system in Du Bois to handle whatever discharge they had. The sewer system there belongs to Catoga also. They furnish water and sewer both.
We can look, but we don't have the expertise to say, well, what's your BODs and how many bugs do you do and that. I don't know that we're gonna get apples to apples comparison. But, I mean, we can certainly try.
If you try, that's all I'm asking, is just try and see, and if anything, who we can contact that would be over them as they progress, in their building.
And I don't, one thing that was brought up that I hadn't thought about, for them to come online before the sewer plant's done could be a real issue. So I don't know where we're at with all that. I just have to be honest. I don't know. I don't know what we can and can't do, but that is a concern. There's no question about that. If they start working before our plant's ready, then we'll be in trouble. So.
And that's what you're gonna look into.
Yes, exactly.
Obviously.
Yeah.
Good sense.
And that's why we are good people from Colorado.
But the fact still remains for them that we
Yeah.
committed in 2004 to furnishing the sewer system.
Yeah. I guess, I don't know, you say so.
But in 2004 was our sewer system having the issues like, obviously we're having issues and so that could.
That site and the site south of town were two of the shovel-ready sites. I think there were some others in Orange County, but I was in county government then, and it was that was two of the shovel-ready sites that I remember there was a big push back then for Orange County Economic Development Partnership to get those because it made us eligible for grants and so forth and so on.
Why was someone not here from the Johnson family to answer our questions?
You'll have to ask them that.
I'd like to. They should have been here to answer questions and put us at ease.
I think if you call Brian, he'll talk to you. It may not, we didn't get the answers we wanted.
Yeah.
But I think he'll be straight with you.
The letter that he sent you guys had different numbers from what he told us was, instead of 5 trucks a day, which is on there, it was 12.
Oh, really?
And in terms of the number of employees that they had, he's got 25 or whatever on there. It was in the 30s.
And I'm concerned about the people
That's kind
that
of changed.
Yeah.
And that would have just been within a couple weeks of that letter and
Yeah, because we just got that letter I think last week.
And that's why we're trying to get a lot of these answers in writing so we can say, this is what you told us. So we're trying to ask the questions to protect the citizens that we have control over. Water usage, discharge, those type of things. There's only so much we can do, but we are trying to ask the questions to protect and, do what we can to hold them to what we're willing to do. So, again, like John said, there was a commitment for us to provide water and sewer for that shovel-ready site. That's why that lift station is out there by the REMC. That doesn't need to be there necessarily, except for to carry that. And again, that was an agreement made in 2004, but, again, that agreement didn't say what, we don't have to take anything they discharge. But if we have to make upgrades and that kind of thing, our plan is to make them pay for that instead of the rest of the citizens. So again, like Brady mentioned, the surcharge on if you're discharging more than what normal sewer would be, you're going to pay an extra. So we're trying to ask the questions that are relevant. When I talked to Brian, he said again that they thought maybe September of 26 is when they would start. So we're trying to get ahead of this as much as we can. But again, because of our zoning and because of the permitted land uses in our zoning, we can only do so much. And I think the state has a lot of power too on these types of facilities, because it is going to be a food grade facility. He indicates they're going to have graders there. So I'm assuming that IDEM and Homeland Security are highly involved in approving their plans.
Do you know officially what it is zoned? I know on the map it's I3, but then somebody said I1 or I2. So I'm just curious because.
So the way I look at it, it's on our map as I3, which we don't have necessarily an I3, but it would be kind of like a lesser included use. So if you're I3, typically you can do I2 or I1. Does that make sense? Yeah. It's like a lesser, it'd be no different than if you're zoned industrial, but you just want to build a restaurant, which would be normally like a B1 or a B2.
I'm just curious because of the buffer zone, maybe there's something they could do, and that may be something that we call them and ask them,
Yeah.
Do you think you could plant some trees? I mean, I'm going to plant trees if I stay in my house. I mean, it's a little hard to sell my house when.
Yeah, the plat we got, was very small, but I'm not sure that even has like landscaping on it. Yeah. But again, that's a good question for them.
On your zoning, so you're saying that at one time it was a certain number and then now it's a different number. That has happened in the past?
So normally if you want to get a property rezoned, you ask the council, we ask our planning, the planning commission makes zoning determination. So if your property's residential and you want to go like B1, you come and ask them to rezone.
So whoever owns the property is the one that comes
makes
and
that,
says, we want to rezone this.
Yeah. And if you do that, then you have to notify your neighbors. Like we've had some property here in town that was residential and people wanted to put in like a daycare. Right. So they would, instead of being residential, they'd be like a B1. They apply for that. They send letters to each one of their adjoining. The reason this is because this came in as an annexation. And when it came in as an annexation, it was designated an industrial.
Came in that way, and then a board decided this is what we're going to zone it. The only way to rezone that is if somebody owns that and they come in and says, I want to change this to something.
Correct. Okay. Yes, the owner of the property has to rezone.
Right.
Yeah.
Did the RMC own that, whatever it was?
No, it's always been owned by Johnson's. Oh, just the agreement. The agreement was that they would give. So originally, REMC had an option to purchase that property, and the idea was if somebody did want to come in and build a facility, with economic development, let's say assembly plant came in, they were pitching it as, hey, we have a 40-acre site that has electricity that Hoosier Energy through Orange County RMC is going to provide. We have water, we have sewer. It's a great place to build. It's ready to go. You can start building immediately. And then Johnson's always owned it, but there was the option thinking that REMC would buy it and then sell it to whoever's going to put in the facility.
I think I know the I3, at least what I looked at, it says that it's the primary uses are heavy manufacturing, assembly, processing. It includes all kinds of stuff. but I didn't know if it's not zoned I3, if it's 1 or 2. I think I'm concerned about the possibility of egg cracking
You're talking about
in the future, if they decide to do that. I haven't read anything good about that.
That would be a determination whether it's light industrial or heavy industrial, wouldn't it? I mean,
But that's what I'm wondering though, if it's,
I don't know what would be classified as.
yeah,
I mean, it don't seem, heavy industrial to me is like a steel plant or something like that.
yeah.
Light would, I would think that would qualify as light myself, but I don't know that for sure. But whatever, if you got the highest designation, whether it's I3 or I2, you can build something lesser on it.
Which is why I'm wondering if it is really I3,
And not I1.
because then I3, there's all kinds of these things they could build
I
there. If
understand what
it's
you're saying.
less, then it maybe it.
Yeah.
Probably, it won't be limited to, probably from their case, would be limited to something to do with agriculture.
But the way it is, they can go right ahead and build whatever they want all the way down.
Well,
The Chads.
They gotta get state permits for any.
Well, if they got a permit for this, then they can get permits for the other things as well. I'm assuming.
So,
They can-
I think it's important that we find out if it's I1 or I2 or I3.
What it is actually
Yeah.
zoned, not.
So,
Thank you for listening.
Yeah, thanks.
does anybody else have anything they'd like to say? I know we're not being near as helpful as you'd like for us to be. I'm sorry.
Well, in my opinion, I learned that a lot of it's out of your hands, and that's important to know that.
But we do know your concerns and going and seeing what Du Bois has, maybe that doesn't make any difference, but it'd be kind of nice to know.
Yeah.
Yeah. And we can ask about, whether, I don't know whether the EPA has to do a study on it. And I'm sure if they don't have to, they've not had it done. But I don't know that either way.
One other comment, Jim regularly attends, he's not here to keep order.
I thought, I said to Susan, I said, they must be expecting a red.
Yeah.
Don't let me clear holes for people.
Yeah, he's here at all.
I'm pretty intimidating, so I know, It's your size alone. No, they don't trust me up there. They give me a name plate, but no
I
place.
see your name over there, but I thought maybe you got thrown.
Yeah, I'm like the stepchild at the family get together.
They don't let you sit.
We haven't grown up.
I haven't got the big boy people yet.
The reason for that is COVID. Back when COVID rules were in effect, we had to spread out.
Really? So you had chairs up
We
there
never
before?
got back to it.
It's like yours.
They like their space.
Yeah.
And we don't feel like we're at the firing squad.
Yeah.
Nobody noticed you sitting over there.
The thing's curved the wrong way anyhow.
Yeah, it kind of is. I wasn't involved in this.
This is a free gift from Bill Chair.
Okay, does anyone else have anything else? I don't want to cut anybody off. Do we have any other business?
Not that I'm aware of, Mr. President.
Daniel, did you have anything today?
No, sir.
No. Randy?
I make a motion to adjourn.
Okay, we have a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Been motioned and seconded, all in favor of adjournment, say aye. Adjourn.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you, welcome back.
I don't even get to say aye or nay. They don't even care about that.
Yes, my.
I'm sure it did. Yeah, I'm sure it was.
He bought it. He bought it. Like me, trouble finding.
It's always been a show. With Shell, they're built on the south side of the high help him with that.
No, they're building on the north side.
That's always
Okay.
always
REC had an option, haul trucking and,
Yeah, there's been so much we can do. Like I said, I do think not just charging into
Gotcha.
And we're at the.
On the east side of it.
Yeah, on the east side, I'm and the soccer.
Yeah.
Directly across the road, I mean, it's like.
My thing is, if we get these questions, and we get these answers written down,
Just a little bit.
if it starts to smell in October of next year, I'm gonna go to. So what we